Hey fellow Patriots, this is Bravo Echo from Hope for Survival, and I'm out on the road on location, and had a chance to get with Patriot Otis, who is Prepare and Hope for Survival original supporter from back on day one, and had the opportunity to sit down and talk with him, or stand up if you will, and talk to him about preparedness and some things from his point of view and perspective that I wanted to share with you. Otis, good to see you, man.
B, it's always good to see you too. Glad you were able to stop by today.
Yeah, it's a rare occasion from where I'm at and where he's at. We get to see each other maybe 2 or 3 times a year, if that. And Otis has some good perspective and good views on preparedness. He's located in and around a major city, and so I wanted to kind of get his perspective on preparedness and some of his thoughts and how he's planning and things that people should look for. So first question, Otis, from your point of view, being around the city, how are you seeing things?
We're outside of a very large city in a smaller well, even the community we live in is not small, but it's a suburb of a very large city, and we're trying to prepare in the event of an economic breakdown to where we can be self-sufficient to begin with and potentially bug in. And we have some alternate scenarios in case we do have to leave the property that we're at just because the population density is so high.
So from what you're seeing in and around the city right now, what would you see as maybe the 2 or 3 top threats to where you're at?
Crime, number one, is going crazy. And then in a breakdown of society, especially with the food supply chain, I mean, basically we're on a 3-day rotating schedule with any store. I mean, you see bad weather come in and the stores are out in 3 days or less. And in a grid down scenario, or if the mandates to stay at home come back, it can get very interesting if there's even any food supply or any medicinal supply. So we're trying to make some alternate plans in case we do have to leave our area. To begin with, of course, we'd love to stay and bug in, but you know that's not always the case. There could be some serious rioting go on again that happened previously.
So from your location where you're at, what do you kind of, for anyone in that scenario who decides to leave, what are your thoughts? 24, 48?
We're looking at roughly a 48-hour scenario. If things get bad, to have an exit strategy.
So from your perspective, at your location, bugging out, what do you kind of have set as a mindset? And I know it's case by case, where you may be when it happens.
And it's scenario by scenario. You know, ultimately, of course, love to bug in, depending on how bad the situation gets around us. You know, we'll always keep at least a 24-hour surveillance and, you know, check things every 24 hours. But roughly, if rioting breaks out, if they're going gangs, houses to houses, you know, roughly a 48-hour period, you know, we're going to evac.
Yeah, they're going to start figuring about 48 hours-ish.
Yeah.
They're depending on what the disaster is.
Yeah,
they're going to start figuring it out.
Figure out who to go raid and, you know, and what. And we try to keep a low OPSEC as it is, but I mean, you got to be careful.
Yeah, especially if you have to bug out and you're forced out. If you hook up a trailer, it's loaded to the max, and you're trying to bug out through
a highly dense, you know, population.
Yeah,
you're going to have to do it at night.
So
you're going to have to watch your light.
Yeah.
Headlights will give you away in a heartbeat.
So for individuals who are living in that type of environment, from say urban, suburbanish, what are some things that you would recommend to them that if they have zero preparedness, what are some things that
I would start out small. and look at, you know, a 1 week preparedness kit, food, water, shelter, move that to 30-day, and just keep building upon it as you know, as time and finances allow you. Definitely self-protection. Start out with something small, a handgun, take a class, learn how to use it, get with a friend, and build from there. Always remember, you know, the rules of 30 seconds without air, or it's 3 minutes without air,
3 weeks without food.
3 days without water,
3 weeks without food.
3 hours without shelter, and then the 3 weeks without food. And so build upon that. And of course, you know, 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is better. So always try and build upon those.
Individuals who may be just starting out, right, and maybe they have a family discussion and they want to go forward with it. Where's some places that you would recommend that maybe they could go learn fast? Maybe get hooked in with some type of community team, possibly. You know, like go out to your local ham radio club, or
yeah, you can look for different, like Ham Fest in your local areas. There's all kinds of different ham operators, and a lot of them are into preparedness. There's several different good websites. Hope for Survival is an awesome website. Heritage Life Skills is a very good organization that puts on a big preparedness 3-day show every year in North Carolina. It's run by Carolina Readiness, an awesome preparedness store. And I buy quite a bit of supplies there. And it's in a totally different state than where I live. That's how awesome it is. And you know, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. I've met a lot of good people at church and gotten to preparedness with them also. So,
yeah, gun ranges.
Yeah, local gun range. I'm a member of a gun club, so
something like Carolina Readiness Supply up in western North Carolina. You know, they give really good advice on folks who are just learning how to get started, because you can't do it all in a day, financially,
oh, no.
time-wise.
And it can overwhelm you if you let it.
Yeah, emotionally.
You have to start small.
Yeah. A lot of folks go out and just spend tons of money and buy stuff. First, you need to know what is your threat. You need to do a version of a risk assessment, and you need to set out what are you planning for. You go spend $10,000 on resources, and you still may not have what you need for that particular threat.
Exactly.
So identifying that's critical.
And one of the big things is, especially if you're buying food, don't go buy a bunch of survival food that you have not tried. Buy a small quantity and try it, because there's some of them that are out there that are horrible. There's some that are immensely better than others, and you learn that the hard way if you go buy a whole bunch. So buy a little bit at a time and try it. One of the things that I do with some friends of mine is we simulate exercises, and we'll take our backpack, we'll go to a local park, and we'll do a hike. We'll take 5 different types of survival meals and 5 different stoves, and we'll all go, you know, do a couple-mile hike, and then we'll get under a pavilion, and we'll use our stoves and compare them, and then we'll prepare the meals, and that way everybody can try one. You know, use all your safety measures, and you can see if you like it or not before you go spend, you know, X amount of dollars on something that you ain't gonna eat anyway.
Especially if you're on blood pressure meds.
Exactly.
Have heart issues.
A lot of them are high
medicated,
sodium.
you're high sodium.
So you have to check that.
Drink a lot of water before you eat the meal, and drink a lot of water if you can after the meal.
And you can always buy more of what you normally eat. If you go to the store and you normally get 5 cans, buy 7 and set 2 to the side. And you'll be surprised how fast that will add up.
What about communication around the city, suburban area, urban area? If you decide to get out, if you're in multiple vehicles, hopefully you have a plan, a family communication plan. You've done route surveys and so forth.
And the Hope for Survival book really helps explain a lot of that and how to do that. And we've implemented that a lot in our family plan. You know, depending on the situation, you know, you can use cell phones, but you may not be always able to. Then there's CB radios, walkie-talkies, but then that's limited on range depending on how much money you put into the system. And then there's always good old sat phone.
How about if your family communication plan, if you decide to bug out, if you've got family members with any kind of special physical needs,
you have to have that all worked out in a plan ahead of time. You have to have an outline of it, and each member has to know the outline of it and how you're going to implement that plan. And that goes into family, planning ahead of time and everybody knowing it. And you also have to know, okay, this is point A, point B, point C. Where are we going to rally? If you're not here, then are you going to leave me a code to go to the next rally? Or, what's the situation going to be? You have to have all that laid out ahead of time.
Yeah. So many people mess up and fail when they're doing their family comm plan or bug out plan. We're all going to the mountain to Uncle Joe's cabin, but you're coming from 4 different locations and you haven't documented those locations and those routes. And 3 of the families gets there, the day later, family 4 is not there yet, and you don't know what routes they use. You don't have a family comm plan.
You couldn't even go look for them if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's just like if I'm the only one, Daddy Otis is the only one in the family that knows any of the plans, how's anybody else going to be able to implement it? That's why you have to go over it and have a written AO for everybody.
Yeah, and how you're going to mark those paths. If you have to detour for whatever reason, and when you go drive your primary route and your secondary route, just day-to-day, home to work, work to home, to store, and so forth, you need to document those routes, because what if you drive that route 15 miles each way and all of a sudden you have to detour? Does your family know what detour you're using? Or if you have to walk, right? If things collapse really fast and you can't cross that bridge,
how are you going to get around it? Do you even know how you will get around it?
Yeah.
You have to look at all that way ahead of time.
Yeah.
Just say
Plan.
if it's just not even a bad situation, let's just say there's road construction or a wreck. Do you know another alternate route to get home? Let alone in a bad situation where your life could depend on it.
Yeah.
If there's a group of riders got that bridge shut down and you can't go through it,
What about first aid?
You can never have enough first aid. My wife gives me a fits about first aid because I am continually buying first aid supplies. I buy kits all the time. It is take a class, learn how to use it, do your ABCs, airway, breathing, circulation, know how to do it. And you can get a CPR class through Skinny Medic, but a lot of your
local Red Cross.
Yeah, the local Red Crosses will do
Some
that
fire
for you.
departments will teach
Oh
you.
yeah, a lot of fire departments will. And a tourniquet and an Israeli battle bandage, have an individual IFAC, and then have a general first aid kit in every vehicle. We try to implement all that.
Yeah, and you need to consider somewhere near you, if you're on the driver's seat, or when you move to the passenger seat, either one, you want to be able to reach these items in case you're trapped in that vehicle.
A way to cut a seatbelt, a way to bust a glass.
Yeah, you need a glass breaker, a seatbelt cutter.
And if you've got an applied tourniquet or a bandage, you need to have that in reachable, from a seated position. If you're, what if the dash comes down on you and you're trapped?
Yeah.
What if you can't open the door and get out?
And what if you're submerged in water?
Exactly.
Right? Or what if the water is up to your chest and you're pinned in the vehicle and no one's coming to help you yet, within your reach. Maybe have a day bag where you can reach it around a seat to
and
where
pull your kit too.
A whistle, some way to reflect on the sun somehow.
Some type of signaling device,
Yes.
plus immediate first aid for yourself.
Yeah.
A little food in water never hurt.
A way to filter water. If you're trapped in there and you got water coming up on you and you can't get to water, a way to filter that water that's coming up, that may be what keeps you alive.
Whenever I leave, and it's standard operating procedure for me and the wife, whenever we're going to go 20 miles more or farther from home, we carry a 72-hour kit with us in the car.
Yeah.
And it has all that in there. It's within reach, but usually right behind the seat. You can just reach around, grab it, pull it right up.
Last question for you is one of the things we try to stress to new people is the buddy system, like doing a buddy check. You know, whether it's through Hope for Survival, we use one of the things we have is the Signal app. But if we don't see someone on the Signal app, say for a week or whatever, I'll like put a post out and say, hey, let's do a buddy check. But in your family and people who are part of your plan of having a buddy system, of cross-checking, who's gonna talk to who to ensure everyone's safe, they're not injured, just in day-to-day life.
In a normal situation, we try to do it in a if you don't see someone in a 1 week time frame, we try to check on them, whether it's if you haven't seen them on social media, if you haven't talked to them, or in person or at church or whatever, we try to find out what's going on, reach out.
Otis, I appreciate your time, man.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Hope to see you again soon.
Thanks for your continued support.
Always. Thank you.
Till then, Bravo Echo out. Be blessed, stay safe, and come see us at hopeforsurvival.com and join the team.